Hello everybody, welcome to Crafty Soup. My name is Misty. I'm here with the October SCT Sampler Kit unboxing. And if you're new here, whenever I do an unboxing, I also do a project, so I hope you'll stick around for that. And as a reminder, these kits are being discontinued after December of this year, so you can't get these kits anymore. However, a lot of the products are available through independent scrapbooking shops, and I will leave you links below if you want to get your hands on these things. So let's go ahead and dive in and see what these things are. Here is what the package looks like when it comes in the mail, and I always like to squish it to try and take a guess at what's inside. Usually it's, a variety of sample products of papers and embellishments, and then often a stamp set. So as I open this, you'll see that that is the case again this month. We always have our theme word and our theme die, which is an exclusive product. So if you want to get that, those are offered through the SCT company, and they do tend to have some of these things show up on their website in the future. So you can keep an eye on that if you're interested. I don't have any monetary affiliation with SCT at all. I just like these kits, the company, and I'm happy to share what I love. So as we open up this package, we have a whole bunch of American crafts items today. From the stamp set to all the papers and embellishments, it's all American crafts. So I am going to pause the video, take a look at which collection is which, and separate them out for you so that I have the best idea of how to link all these products up if you want to get your hands on them. So I am back. I have got them separated out, and this collection is called Farmstead Harvest. There we go. And it has, the embellishments here have some gold foiling accents. Oops, I dropped the word blessed. But as you probably know at this point, these are partial packages of embellishments and papers, which is why it's called the Sampler Kit, because you get a sampling of all of these things. So those were the embellishments. Here is a bit of a cut apart, probably from a larger sheet of paper. We have some of these foam elements, and that rabbit on there is totally going to play into the project that I have today. It totally sparked an idea as soon as I saw it, and I knew what I was going to do. So as we flip through these papers, I will try and give you a closer look at all of the little colors and icons that you see here. And this collection I have been looking at online for a couple weeks probably. I love, love, love the mushrooms in this collection and the colors, this blue color in particular, kind of a gray blue. And it works very well with all the other colors. It feels fall without being too orange and brown, which is one of the challenges that I have with fall collections. We do have a little bit of mustard yellow in there, but I think that gray blue helps freshen it up a bit. And the red in these mushrooms here is a bit brighter than a lot of fall collections. So I am really loving this selection of pattern papers, and I will likely purchase a little bit more of that, some of the mushroom prints there, because I do like them a lot. All right, the other collection, also American Crafts, as I said, is just called Happy Halloween, and as you can guess, it is all Halloween themed. Now, this was a little punch-apart collection of like candy corns, and I'm not quite sure if that comes in the embellishment pack. I can't say that I'm familiar with American Crafts having like punch-apart elements, so that was a little surprising to me. At any rate, there's also a few little vellum-style embellishments in that leafy one. I'm assuming comes with a Halloween collection. I couldn't quite confirm which collection it came from, but I'm going to assume Halloween, since the other vellum elements are from the Halloween collection. We also have the thicker foam sticker elements, and as you'll notice, there is some holographic foiling both on the ephemera embellishment and on the foam thicker embellishment, so that is fun for Halloween. And then I will walk you through the papers. Again, these are cut down from larger 12 by 12 papers, and we can take a look at these patterns. Now, it is a Halloween collection, so all the embellishments will be Halloween themed. But what I'm finding on this collection is that the B-sides are super usable no matter what, and you will see me make that happen with this pattern paper. And then one of the other ones is I love these little skeletons. I don't do a lot of holiday scrapbooking just because I find it awfully repetitive feeling. But I really like those skeletons, so I'm hoping to do a little bit of Halloween scrapbooking with some of these papers a little bit later. Now that one looked like it was themed on both sides, but I think this bat one has, yes, another just everyday kind of piece of paper that we can put to use in everyday projects. And speaking of projects, let's go ahead and shift that way, and I will show you what I made this time around. So I always start by sorting through the elements that I have sitting in front of me, picking out things that I think could work, including that rabbit for sure. And here are my rabbit pictures. So this story has been on my mind for months probably. Because of this sheet of pattern paper, I'd picked that up somewhere else. So this has been sitting in my stash for a while. And in fact, I haven't filed it away. I've been letting it sit on the table in front of my paper bins because I keep wanting to tell this story and I just haven't gotten to it. So that rabbit embellishment in the kit this month has got me inspired to finally tell this story. Does that ever happen to you? Do you see a product and you just need to tell a story right away? I'd love to hear about how that works for you. All right, as I am working with all of these prints, I am going to layer up and layer up and layer up this layout. I'm going to start off with kind of ruffly layers down at the bottom. And this is one of the things I like to do with these 6x6 pattern papers. Now, it won't be as much of an issue for me moving forward as these kits are being discontinued, but 6x6 pattern papers can totally be used for 12x12 layouts. Throughout doing this series, I have hoped to have shown you lots of tips and tricks for using 6x6 papers. And that actually is a great budget-minded way to go about scrapbooking. If you are a 12x12 scrapbooker, you can always buy 6x6 paper pads and use them in this manner. So normally I do try and make my layouts entirely from the papers from this kit, but because they're being discontinued, I did feel a little bit more leeway to grab that larger 12x12 from my stash. But like I said, 6x6 can always be used with 12x12, either by piecing them together like I've done with those border ruffles down there. And with these paper strips, I've also pieced those together. I've pieced 4 sheets of 6x6 back together into a 12x12. So there's lots and lots of ways to put those to use and save your budget. You can also use cardstock as your backdrop because that tends to be a little bit cheaper than pattern paper prints. And then use the 6x6 paper pads as all of the rest of your pattern on your layouts. All right, because my photos are on a long strip, I did make these layer of paper pieces back there, long strips as well, to layer up and mat behind my photos. So I'm trying to get everything adhered down in place and get the bones of this layout ready to go. Now, one of the challenges about paper piecing these things back together is that the seams, the patterns don't necessarily line up, and sometimes you can see the seams. I usually am okay with what ends up being visible of those seams. Pardon me. But I will also often use little bits and pieces to cover up the seams as well. So that is what I'm doing here with this journaling card. And I debated whether I wanted that journaling card to be my full title, which is eventually going to read Thankful For, and then this embellishment has the word family on it. And then I'm going to add the word walk with my letter stickers. So I thought about that being my full title, but I'm going to make it my subtitle instead because I really, the focus of this layout was these rabbits. So, pardon me, I really wanted my title to speak to the rabbits because that is why I saved this pattern paper. That is why the embellishment sparked this story. So I wanted that to be the focus of my title. Now, when I put together my strips and my photo, I had put it too far off to the right. So I did peel everything back up and shift it to the left just a little bit more. And that made room for my subtitle there to fit. The other thing I did off camera was create these little rings because I realized as I'm layering up my pattern paper, I am losing some of the reason why I chose that background pattern paper, which is it has little bunnies as part of this neighborhood. And my story is about going for neighborhood walks during COVID and finding a section of our neighborhood that some pet rabbits had gotten loose and gotten a little out of control, and there were rabbits everywhere. And so my story has to do with finding that little bit of joy during the early days of COVID and you know, finding peacefulness with that. So my story very much has to do with these rabbits. And then eventually the neighbors got annoyed with the damage that rabbits caused to yards, and they did go away. I saw them being trapped, so I'm assuming they got sent off to an animal shelter of some sort. I did see that happening, and then the rabbits were gone. So I hope they did get rehomed. At any rate, I added detail to these layers because this is a lot of busyness. It's a lot of busy pattern paper on top of a busy background with lots of layers of ruffles. So using a black pen to outline around elements helps give some distinction between the layers, helps it read more as its own piece instead of a whole blur of pattern. So it's a tip that I'm using very frequently these days, and you'll see me do it again here with my title strip. Now normally I don't like to, you can see how there's like a block of pattern that's enclosed, that's called trap space, between my title and my photos and my ruffle strips down at the bottom. And I try not to do that because it's called trap space in design, and there are reasons. But I decided that this is going to be, I still want pattern showing, but this will be a good place for my journaling to go. And I can do it with a piece of scrap from my vellum so that the pattern will still be there, but I'm also filling in that trap space with purposeful elements that make sense to the entire layout. And so I think I found a balance on solving the trap space problem. All right, I needed to make sure that I had a space for my bunny to go, and since I've got a little bit of vellum happening, and that's just a scrap piece from my stash, I will add a bit of vellum behind that bunny because it is a blue bunny on kind of a blue title with a busy background. The vellum will help it stand out more. Now there were some enamel dots in the kit, and I really wanted to make them work to kind of highlight each of these little bunny areas, but the colors they just weren't right. They were too Halloween-y. So I keep moving on with other embellishments. I'm going to layer up some leaves and the other little critter elements. I'm going to create them kind of walking off to the side underneath that walk part of my title, which you can see I've finished up there. And there's my little critters. They're going to take a walk. I do want to create balance with my little leaves, so I am trying to mix and match them up. What else am I doing? Oh, definitely popping up some elements and leaving some elements flat. Very dynamic. I love my foam dots. So that is what I'm doing here. Okay, I didn't want to make you watch me glue all that stuff in place, but as I am working and gluing things, I keep coming back to those little circles that I've created around my bunnies, which I did pop up on strips, foam strips, so that they would give them more noticeability, and I'm trying to make them even more noticeable, and I've played with some embellishments, and now I pulled out the stamp set, and at first I thought I was going to make like a little wreath of stamping around, but the stamp wasn't quite going to fit like that, so I am moving back and forth between adding embellishments here and there while my brain kind of marinates in what I can do with getting those little bunny areas to stand out just a little bit more. And then I pop up with an idea. There were some vellum stars in the kit, which I wanted to add, but there weren't enough vellum stars. So I'm going to add more of my own vellum stars, just with the plain vellum. And I'm going to add a little bit of stamping around each of those areas. And I am going to increase the visibility of those little spots by adding the circle inserts from those rings that I created. And they weren't butting up well, so I just punched the same circle, a little moon edge out of that. And now that they can butt up together, it will overlap the stamping. I can overlap it with a star. And as I hold it up closer for you, you can see how those little clusters help bring more focus to the bunny elements on that page. Subtle enough to blend in, yet focused enough to be a design element. So that brings us to the end of the project and the kit for this month. I hope you got something useful out of this video. If you did, I'd love to hear what it was that helped you out so I can bring you more of that kind of goodness in future videos. I should be back next week with hopefully videos all week for you. I have been a little quiet lately and I'm working on getting back up to speed. So until then, have an artful day.